James Kincaid worked night security for the Harborview Corporate Plaza, a sprawling complex downtown with 6 underground parking levels. He liked the job. It paid well, and no one asked questions as long as the cameras stayed online and no one broke in. Most nights were uneventful. Empty hallways, cold concrete, humming fluorescents, the kind of silence that grew thick around 3 a.m. when the whole world seemed paused. That night started like any other. He clocked in at 10, grabbed his usual black coffee from the vending machine in the break room, and began his first walk-through by 11:30. The elevators to the lower parking levels shut off after 11, so accessing them required the stairwell. He didn't mind. Walking kept him awake. By 1 a.m., most of the office workers had long gone. The lot was nearly empty except for a few stragglers. James checked the garage feeds on the monitor wall in the security office. He habitually counted the cars remaining. 5 in total. Nothing out of place, except on P6, a silver sedan. He squinted and leaned forward. The timestamp read 10:47 p.m., but he clearly remembered that space being empty during his walk-through around midnight. It was one of the corner spots, easy to check. He rewound the feed. 10:30. Empty. 10:45. Still empty. 11 o'clock. Same. But then, the 12:15 a.m. frame flickered, and the car was just there. No headlights, no motion blur, no entry from the ramp. It hadn't arrived. It had appeared. James rubbed his eyes. That's got to be a feed glitch, he muttered. He pulled the gate logs. No entries between 11:30 p.m. and 1 a.m. No buzz-in activity, no license plates captured at the gate. Nothing. That car shouldn't be there. Zooming in, he noticed the plate was coated in dirt. The windows were fogged from the inside. No ID on the dash. No parking sticker. No signs of movement. James felt a chill creep up the back of his neck. He decided to check it out himself. The stairwell down to P6 was claustrophobic. Dim lights lined the way, buzzing faintly with that aged fluorescent hum. Each floor he passed became quieter, more distant from the surface. By the time he reached P6, the air was still, the kind of stillness that didn't feel natural. The silver sedan sat alone in the far right corner. Its surface was dull, with streaks of dried rain along the doors, as if it had been parked there for weeks, but he'd never seen it before. The smell hit him first, a metallic tang in the air, rust and something sharper, like dried blood and pennies. He circled it slowly. Scratches ran along both sides. The side mirror on the driver's side was cracked. Its tires looked wrong. Flat but not deflated, like they were sculpted that way. The trunk was locked. He leaned in to look through the driver's window. Inside, the dashboard was covered in dust, but beneath the layer were odd scratches. Not random ones. Marks. Etchings carved into the plastic, like symbols he couldn't understand. That's when his radio crackled. "James." He froze. The voice wasn't familiar. Not the control room. It was hoarse, rasping like dry leaves. "Who is this?" he said. A pause. Then, "Don't open it." James stepped back. "Open what?" The radio crackled, then cut out completely. The silence afterward was deafening. He turned to leave, adrenaline spiking, but behind him he heard the soft click of a car unlocking. He spun around. The driver's door was ajar. He hadn't touched it. He swallowed hard and drew his flashlight. "If anyone's in there, show yourself." No movement, just the heavy hum of the lights above. Then the trunk made a sound. Clack. It was slightly open now. He didn't see anyone near it. His voice lowered. I'm not playing games." He stepped closer. That metallic smell was stronger now. It burned his nose. He reached for his walkie again, dead. No static, no light. Then something shifted inside the trunk. He heard it, clear and slow, a dragging sound, like wet fabric sliding across steel. A pale hand uncurled from the gap. Gray skin stretched over impossibly long fingers. Nails black. Each finger moved like it had never learned how. Disjointed, slow, searching. James stepped back, horrified. Then a face rose from the darkness. But it wasn't a face. It was something that wanted to be one. Skin sagged in patches. No eyes. Just indentations. A slit where a mouth might be, opened slightly a mimicry. And beneath it, teeth. Not human. Too many. Tiny and uniform like fish bones lined in rows. It didn't move fast. It didn't need to. James bolted. Up the stairwell, heart hammering, he skipped 2 steps at a time. The sound behind him, feet slapping bare concrete, matched his speed, but never caught up. By the time he reached the control room, he was soaked in sweat. Every monitor was static. Every single one, except one. P6. The car was still there. The trunk shut, but someone stood next to it. Slender. Tall, barefoot, limbs too long, head tilted slightly as if listening. Its skin glistened under the garage lights, wet, almost translucent. Its arms hung low, fingers brushing its knees. It stared directly into the camera, but it had no eyes. James staggered back. Then the screen blinked out. Static. He didn't wait. He grabbed his bag, keys, and bolted. He didn't even lock the office. By the time he reached his car above ground, it was already 4:30. Dawn was still far, but the thought of staying another minute underground made his stomach turn. He never came back. Filed his resignation by email. No explanation. 2 weeks later, Harborview taped off P6. A faded sign read, "Closed for repairs." No one ever saw construction workers enter. No lights were turned back on. Rumor spread that a gas leak had made the level unsafe. But late at night, people still report strange sounds. The faint click of a trunk unlatching, and the soft scrape of something moving. Something that doesn't belong. Liam Carson always left the office just before 8 p.m. His shift at the security firm ended with a few final checks. Doors locked, alarms set, cameras scanned, and then he'd head down to basement level 2 to grab his core. It was part of his routine, something he never thought twice about. But tonight, he lingered a little longer than usual. The new intern, Sophie, had forgotten her phone. He found it buzzing on her desk. It was late and she had probably noticed by now, but Liam figured he'd swing it by her apartment on his way home. Good deed for the day. The elevators were slow at night. Most people used the lobby stairs or left hours earlier, so when the steel doors finally opened, the silence inside felt heavier than usual. Liam stepped in and tapped B2. The button flickered once, then dimmed. The elevator started to hum and descend. At B1, the elevator shuddered. Not enough to set off alarms, just enough to feel wrong. Liam narrowed his eyes at the ceiling camera, then down at the floor display. It blinked twice, then showed nothing, just a black screen. A faint mechanical groan sounded from above. The doors opened, but not onto B2. Liam knew the layout of the building inside out, and this wasn't it. The lights were dimmer, the concrete darker, almost stained. The air smelled musty and old, like a place forgotten. No cars, no sound. Just rows and rows of empty parking spaces swallowed by shadows. He hit the close door button quickly. Nothing happened. He tried lobby. B1. Even open door again. Still nothing. Then the elevator shut behind him with a soft hiss, as if making the decision for him. The first thing he noticed was the sound. Not silence, but a strange whirring, like a fan stuck between gears. It echoed softly across the lot, bouncing off the concrete pillars. He pulled out his phone. No signal. He tried calling Sophie anyway. The call didn't even attempt to connect. Liam glanced around. He wasn't the kind to panic easily. Years of working in security trained him for strange situations. But this wasn't a normal malfunction. He walked toward the ramp. B2 always connected directly to the upper levels through a sloping exit path. If he could just get to B1, he'd be fine. But the ramp wasn't there. Instead, it ended abruptly in a concrete wall. No markings, just a blank gray surface as if the path had never existed. That's when the motion sensor lights blinked on in the far corner. Liam turned. There, between pillars 48 and 49, stood a car. A black SUV, engine off, lights on. The headlights didn't illuminate anything clearly, just a haze of dust and dimness, but Liam could tell no one was behind the wheel. He started toward it, calling out instinctively. "Hello? Anyone here?" No answer. As he stepped closer, the engine coughed once, then died again. Liam stopped walking. Behind him, something scraped against the floor. He turned quickly. Nothing. But the scrape came again, softer, like something dragging across the concrete in slow, wide arcs. Not footsteps, not wheels. Dragging. He moved behind one of the pillars, crouched low, hand already on his flashlight holstered to his belt. He clicked it on. The beam cut through the haze and dust, but it only deepened the shadows between the cars that weren't there. Empty parking lot. Empty spaces. Except not quite empty. Far across the garage, something tall shifted. Not walked, shifted like smoke forming into a body. A figure, blurry at first, became clearer the longer he looked at it. It stood completely still. Then its head twitched, not turned, twitched like it had no bones, only jerking movements driven by unnatural impulse. Liam backed away. He shone the flashlight directly at it. It didn't move, but its shadow bent toward him. He ran, back toward the elevator. The doors were still closed. He jammed his hand on the call button, over and over. Nothing. Behind him, soft scraping again. Faster now. He turned to see the figure crawling toward him, its limbs contorted, arms stretched out too far, elbows bending the wrong way. Its face was nothing, just smooth skin where features should be. Liam ran to the emergency stairwell door. It opened. No resistance, no sound. He slipped inside, took the stairs up to B1. It was dim, but the air changed. Less dense. He kept moving upward, breath short, not stopping until he reached the lobby. He burst through the stairwell exit. Everything looked normal. The receptionist glanced up from her crossword puzzle. "You all right?" she asked, noticing his pale face. "I think there's someone in B2, he said, between breaths. "Something down there." She frowned. "We don't have a B2. He stared at her. "What?" "The garage only goes to B1, always has." She tilted her head. "You sure you're okay?" He didn't answer. He just left. That night, Liam looked up the original building plans. The architectural records listed Basement 2 as planned, but never completed. Construction stopped after reports of worker injuries, missing equipment, and unexplained power surges. They sealed it off, or thought they did. Liam never went back to the building after that. He sent in his resignation by email. But 2 weeks later, he got a photo message from an unknown contact. No number, just a gray circle where the name should be. The photo showed the security camera feed from the elevator lobby. The floor indicator? It read B2, and the timestamp showed it was taken at 7:59 p.m., exactly when Liam had first stepped into the elevator that night. Beneath it, one line of text. Some doors never close. They wait. He deleted the message, but he never parked underground again. Kelly Reeves didn't usually stay this late at the office, but his promotion had come with responsibilities, and those responsibilities came with long hours. It was nearly midnight when he finally shut down his computer and headed out, rubbing his tired eyes and muttering curses about quarterly reports. His car was parked in basement level 3 of the underground garage. The building's elevator creaked reluctantly as he descended. The lights flickered slightly, but Kelly didn't think much of it. He was used to the quirks of his older building. When the elevator doors opened with a hollow ding, the floor was quiet, silent even. No hum of machinery, no distant footsteps, just an eerie stillness. The concrete walls were damp from July humidity. One of the overhead lights was strobing faintly over an empty parking bay. Kelly stepped out, glancing around. His car was parked near the far wall, beneath a long yellow line painted diagonally across the floor to separate 2 zones. One side reserved, the other general use. He passed by the line quickly, distracted by a sharp sound behind him. Clack. He turned. Nothing. The place was empty. Kelly exhaled slowly and walked to his car. He clicked his fob. No beep. He frowned and pressed it again. Still nothing. He tried the door manually, but it wouldn't budge. That's when he saw it. On the passenger side window, a perfect handprint. Smudged and wet, like someone had just leaned against the glass. It wasn't his. Kelly took a step back. Behind him, the overhead lights hummed, then flicked off, one by one. Each bank of lights shut off in sequence, marching toward him down the length of the garage. He spun around and ran toward the elevator, heart hammering. But before he reached it, clack, the same sound again, like a cane tapping against the concrete floor. Kelly froze. A figure emerged from the darkness beyond the yellow line. Not walking, gliding. A man. No, a shape dressed like a man, wearing a dark suit, arms stiff at its sides, neck bent at an unnatural angle. Its eyes glowed faintly. Not headlights, eyes. Kelly stumbled backward, gasping. The lights behind the figure stayed off, as though it dragged the dark with it. He tried his phone. No signal. He bolted for the stairwell. Locked. The keypad buzzed red when he punched it. The building was supposed to stay unlocked until 1 a.m. He slapped the metal door, yelling, but no one answered. Not that anyone was around. Behind him, the clack came again. Closer. He turned and shouted, "What do you want?" The thing paused at the yellow line. It didn't speak, but he heard something, a static hum in his ears, like a broken radio. Then it took a single step forward, crossing the yellow line. The lights above it flickered back on. Only now Kelly could see. Its feet left no shadows. Kelly ran, not toward his car, not to the exit. Instinct pulled him between the rows of vehicles, ducking low. He crouched behind a truck, heart thudding. From his hiding place, he peeked out. The figure was moving again. Slowly. Deliberately. It passed by his car, turning its head too far, almost backward. It whispered something in a voice that sounded like tires on gravel. "Nanon. Leaves." Kelly bit his tongue to keep from making a sound. Then he noticed something. The yellow line. The thing hadn't crossed it before. He squinted through the truck's undercarriage. Sure enough, as it walked now, the yellow stripe beneath its feet flickered, like it reacted to its presence. He looked around. Every parking floor had a security office, usually tucked near the far end of the wall. If he could get to it, maybe there was a panic button or a backup phone. Something. Keeping low, he moved behind the cars. Clack. Too close. He ducked behind a column and took a breath. His hand brushed something on the floor, paint, yellow paint, and a small roller, as if someone had recently repainted the line. That's when it clicked. He glanced behind. The figure was scanning the rows, methodically, silently. Kelly grabbed the roller and the open can beside it. It must have been left by maintenance earlier that evening. The paint was still wet. Heart racing, he dipped the roller, then crawled on hands and knees and painted a thick yellow stripe behind him, between himself and the figure. Then he stood. It saw him instantly. It rushed forward, faster now, gliding at a terrifying speed. Kelly sprinted back, vaulted over the painted line. The moment the thing reached the edge, it stopped. It tilted its head, then hissed. It raised one arm and struck the ground, but the line held. Kelly backed farther away, watching. The figure tried again, but the light above it shattered and it recoiled. Like it was bound. He didn't waste the chance. Paint can in one hand, roller in the other, Kelly began marking a thick border, doubling back toward the elevator, painting a line around himself as he moved. He reached the panel, slapped the call button. The elevator dinged. Open. He jumped in. The figure was still there, just beyond the border, watching, but it didn't move. Kelly punched the lobby button. The doors closed. As he rose, he collapsed against the elevator wall, breathing hard, still gripping the roller in his shaking hands. The next day, he filed a request to relocate to a different department. No night shifts, no underground parking. He didn't tell anyone what happened. Not really. Just said he thought someone had broken in. But on his way out that night, he left a note for the maintenance crew. Repaint the yellow line, and never break it. Some warnings don't need to be explained, and some lines aren't just paint.